What were you thinking, Beth?
So I was thinking about posh people and common people, working class people, whatever terminology you want to use. That I feel like a really good barometer would be to look inside their fridge. And I actually feel like posh people have dirtier fridges, but you can probably count the array of condiments that they have and use that, because like in my experience, I've probably got more experience with more working class people, although I would say my experience with one particular posh person makes for a cracking story. But I feel like the amount of condiments that they've been exposed to, like the condiment exposure, is probably a really good like litmus, like pH scale.
What are condiments, Beth?
Well, I mean, your sauces, aren't they? So you're looking at like, you've got salad cream, mayonnaise, tomato sauce, but then you've got a whole array of other things. I mean, obviously everything exploded onto the scene with like hummus, balsamic vinegar, all that kind of stuff, didn't it? But, and I feel like in posh people's fridge, some of the condiments that they've got are probably like £8 for a pot of something, and like that is a lot. If you think about on This Country, that programme that I really like, Curtain on it, I remember, bless him, when he was going to go off and do his GMVQ, he was all ready to go away and do it. I think that's such a great programme at kind of documenting the class struggles and the kind of socio-economic inequalities that this country is still bound by. And he kind of got over his head that he might, got over it that he might leave the village he'd lived in all his life and this, that and the other, and then he was looking at what he might eat. I think food is such a good barometer for that. And he like went up to the vicar and was like, can you fucking explain this to me? What the fuck is pesto? And was really just thrown by that. So I feel like a fridge is like a window into someone's soul, isn't it? It's like, forget the eyes, the fridge is where it's at. I feel like with posh people, their fridges can actually be minging, because they don't have to worry about, meal planning, have I got enough money for this, have I got enough money for the next thing, They're just like, buy more, put it in there, it goes out of date, it doesn't matter. And also, like I said, the condiments, like some of that stuff is crazy expensive, so it's all in like the labelling. But so those are differences. I was thinking about like the similarities between the posh people and the working class people that I've experienced, and I was thinking like, I feel like abbreviation of words, language is is fascinating anyway, isn't it? But I think abbreviation of words, because I mean, obviously you've got your stereotypical like whatevs, someone I know is like even shortened CBA to Siebes.
CBA, what's that mean?
Well, CBA can't be asked to, I can't even be asked to say CBA, so I'm just going to go Siebes. And I say that, I quite like it. But also this particular posh person that I knew once kind of abbreviated everything with a Y, so it was odd actually, and gave me the ick. They were like, oh, mummy, and they were well into their 40s at the time. And also then it was like a botty and potty, and they had a potty under their bed. So I feel like that abbreviation of words is probably something that links them a little bit, maybe. But yeah, I mean, my observations with my limited kind of exposure to actual proper posh people is just, they have the luxury of time. The only people I know who keep like a journal or a diary or whatever, they think, oh, my time is worth recording my thoughts, because they masses of the world is like teenage girls, and no criticism of them because I've been one, I've had a diary, absolutely mind-numbingly boring. And also posh people, but it's like a journal. Said posh person who I spent a limited amount of time with had a journal.
Said posh person? Oh, that's very posh.
With
a working class...
I'm not going to name them, because it was my only experience with kind of... I think I was their bit of rough, ironically. They were that posh that they were like...
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a guy?
Hey?
Is it a guy?
It was, and I was teaching in a state school at the time. Well, I've only ever taught in state schools. I wouldn't want to teach in a private school. And I think I was their bit of rough. And yeah, it was a real enlightening thing into how posh people are. I mean, I shouldn't really say their name, but it was a particular name which is also like spelt in a posh way or a normal way, and theirs was obviously the posh way, and I think they were the only boy out of a lot of girls. They were probably double posh, like the heir or whatever. But I think the ick set in when he kept saying, "You must meet mummy, not even my mummy." I was like, fucking 44, mate. And he's like, "No, you must meet mummy." And then it was like, and also used to, like, I wee anywhere, as you know. I will wee outside when needs must, you know. I'm not, you know, it's just a normal thing, isn't it? But
well, it's not normal with.
Well, if you need
for
to have
posh
a
people.
wee, no, but yeah, and his toilet was easily like accessible, but he had like a potty, you know, a proper like bedpan thing under the bed. But he was like, "No, I need to wee in the potty," and then I can't really reveal too much more, but it was like potty, mummy, botty, and then it was just
Blimey.
an odd thing about kind of like abbreviating words. So I just. Yeah.
And what was it you found attractive about him?
Oh, nothing. It was very brief. I think it was like,
Brief encounter, really.
yeah, I think it was more that I was pursued, and I was like, well, let's just see how this goes. And actually, it didn't go very far. I mean, I didn't come great out of the ending of the story, but that's not something that I would probably necessarily share with you now. But I'm sure he's very happy now and has probably had children with somebody more suited to him who has met his mummy.
When you say, you used a word which I know what it means, but a lot of people won't. He gave you the ick.
Yeah. Just like a physical revulsion, really. And I mean, there's a lot of things that you can kind of get over if you rationalise them to yourself. Although lots of women put up with the ick for different things, like, you know, transactional type stuff. I get this out of this relationship, so I'm willing to put up with this. But as you know, I'm a strong, independent female, so I don't actually need a man for anything. So if someone gives me the ick, I'm just going to be like, that's a non-negotiable. But yeah, I think it was the wee in the potty, and then the potty going back under the bed when there's a perfectly good toilet next door, and also just the mummy and the "can you smack my botty?" That was probably the final.
Did you smack his bottom?
I did not. That was probably the final nail in the coffin for that thing. I mean, he was a maths teacher anyway, so I should have, you know, maths, English is not going to align, is it?
Say no more.
I mean, art would probably have been fine, but yeah. I mean, Fibonacci sequence I'd be interested in finding out more about, but I don't really think they do that at GCSE. So yeah.
So is that the only posh person you've ever encountered?
No, there was like one other, because he had a double-barrel surname, and I think probably earned more money than anybody else I'd ever met. So I guess I'm kind of like basing it on that, and actually his fridge had shitloads of condiments in there. But again, he was quite objectionable, and on the first night, like, had some toilet issues. So
he had toilet issues.
Yeah.
Well, you can't just stop there. What toilet issues?
Well, just, and that was only the first night as well. It was like not even like, it was, I need to go for a shit. It was like, I'm telling you that, like and then the human noises, because I've retold this story to various friends. I could deal with hearing somebody do a fart, but it wasn't a fart, it was like a straining human noise of getting it out. And we were like, fair enough, you've been with someone for a while, that's fine. Like, I think it's good to, you know, be open, but this was like the first night, and it was, I suppose an ensuite was just sort of like a sliding door as well, so it was all very close. And I just remember thinking, oh, you know, when you're like, oh, somebody would be good on paper, but this is not worth looking past that piece of paper for. And those are my posh people experiences. I mean, interesting to talk to, but I feel like posh people probably are good to talk to, but spend a lot of time talking about themselves, whereas your common people, to quote good old Jarvis Cocker, are more about like, they show it by what they've acquired, the status symbol. You know, you've got your personalised number plate. My ego is that insecure, I need to write my name on my car type thing. But, you know, they take care of their fridges. They're clean, they're cleaned out. They've got limited condiments. They've checked if they're in date or not.
And you're writing short stories.
Yes.
And one of them is about a fridge.
I haven't done the fridge so far.
Haven't done the fridge yet.
No, freezer, dishwasher, sewing box so far. But
Unfortunately, I've got 2 fridges. So this fridge is out of bounds.
So goddamn posh.
Because I know what your proclivities are. So you're using the fridge in the cottage.
Yes. So it's basically got Diet Coke and wild garlic pesto in there that I recently made that was foraged just outside Camborne. So that's like 1 foot in one camp, 1 foot in the other, isn't it? Like foraging for wild
foraging
garlic
wild pesto.
Well, foraging
garlic.
for wild garlic to make pesto, but in Camborne. So
is that what you're making now?
Pardon?
Is that what you're making now?
Well, I'm using some wild garlic butter to do the base for the risotto that I'm now making. So yeah, I suppose it's like firmly 1 foot in one camp, 1 foot in the other, which is handy for observational tendencies or whatever, as you said, proclivities, observational proclivities. But you know, who am I to judge? I'm just a messed up human being like we all are, which is why I love watching the rest of them.
You're a writer.
I am now a writer when I have the time. But yeah, my stories are actually pleasing me a lot so far, and they're all about inanimate objects. And I've spent a lot of my life dealing with inanimate objects, and that's not a metaphor. So yeah, watch this space. I've spent a lot of time in the kitchen, but luckily I do like that, which is probably how come I think about how can you judge somebody's class from what's in their fridge? Because you can. You absolutely can. Stand by that. It's a barometer.
Well, I'm looking forward to this meal.
Good. Hope it doesn't disappoint. It's going to be very garlicky, but that's good though. Nature's medicine from Camborne.
The way you're stirring that, it's like stirring the cauldron.
Well, yes, absolutely. Nearly Beltane, so it's my favourite festival on the wheel of the year coming up. That's probably because, to be honest, that's obviously aligns with 15 degrees of Taurus. 15 degrees of arguably the most fixed sign, and that is where my moon and my rising are. So I always feel very at home at this time of year, which is a nice way to feel, isn't it?
Because you're a Leo.
I'm a Leo sun. I'm a Leo sun, yes. Well, we share our natal sun placement, don't we?
We do.
So 4 degrees of Leo is where we both are, 25 years apart. But obviously that's only a slice of your astrological chart. And my moon and my rising are both in Taurus, which is also a fixed sign like Leo. So yeah, I feel at home in those two, but definitely these spring, summer months are where I feel most at home. Happy to be wearing summer dresses again. So, yeah. The one thing I remember hearing, which you'll be able to tell me if this is the thing or not, I remember hearing or reading and taking somewhere that basically, like, with working class people, their friends live meters away, and with posh people, their friends live miles away. And I can't remember who said that or where that came from, but I do think that is a thing, and that's because it's like you've got that choice, haven't you? You've got that ability to move. And I think as well that from what I was saying about said person and their mummy fixation, that
said person, I love that. I love that.
With more working class people, there's that if you've moved out, you're standing on your own 2 feet, that kind of like idea, that's really kind of to be admired. You know, it's that needing to look after yourself, to grow up as quickly as you possibly can. But with more posh people, it's like they have that real kind of like familial attachment links for a long time. And I don't know where that comes from. Is it to do with money or, but it's fascinating, isn't it? It's definitely a thing. Find it all very, very, very interesting. And yeah, I think my short stories touch upon the class inequalities and how they are 100% still there, and anybody who says they're not is absolutely deluded.
Most of English literature is about the class system, which is a fantastic source of amusement.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Especially people who aspire to be upwardly mobile. They're the best.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think like, I think that's the thing. People who, it's not even about placing themselves in like a different class category, it's just the social status, wanting to be shinier. That's definitely what it's kind of morphed into these days. It's fascinating.
I was proud of the fact that I was completely without class.
Yeah.
As has been pointed out to me on many occasions.
I would agree with that about you.
I hope you haven't spilt any wild garlic pesto on that dress.
Oh crumbs, it's chartreuse, isn't it, as well? So it's not going to align with that kind of green. It's more verdant.
Verdant. Lime green, I think. Quite citric, isn't it?
Yeah, but is it that colour not called chartreuse? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, green chartreuse, maybe.
But yeah, that wild garlic though is amazing. Ramsons is what they call it, isn't it?
Ramsons.
Yeah. Really good though, even if I say so myself, that pesto. But what you bought there, well actually I bought the stuff to make it from Lidl's, and I swear if you'd gone into some really posh shop like an unnamed farm shop that I live very close to, that starts with a T, you would have paid, I reckon, 3 times more for the kind of things. Or if you bought that as a condiment to put in your fridge, your slightly filthy fridge, if you're a posh person, it doesn't matter if you've got
my fridge is absolutely filthy.
Well, that's not my
so
problem.
maybe I'm posh. Maybe I'm posh.
Well, I think you must be, or at least you've just been knocking around with posh people for too long.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time knocking around with posh people.
Yeah, I kind of can see that.
Yeah.
I feel like you can definitely see that.
I've learned the error of my ways.
There's that confidence that you can just like, you know, slip in between that fluidity of movement. Well, no, I don't mean that as a
not in a sexual way, you
term. No, I mean between talking to people, and that's a compliment. I'd like to have that. I just get incredibly nervous around posh people.
Why do you get nervous around posh people?
Because they might ask me questions that I don't know the answer to. Like, what's your favourite condiment? I don't know. I've just been mayo any day. Mayo. Love mayonnaise.
But most posh people are cretins anyway, aren't they? Or inbreds.
That's a strong term.
The proper posh ones.
That's a strong. Well, I mean, I've always kind of shied away from them, so I don't think I've spent enough time with them to necessarily pass that visceral judgment. But I'd imagine maybe that's why I've shied away from them, because I think you're going to be a wanker, so I don't want to talk to you. So yeah, or fear of rejection for not being posh. Mayo is my favourite condiment. I don't know. Topic is open for discussion.